أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So today we shall continue with our third lesson in this course, which is all about strategic management. Last week we gave an introduction to the course strategic management. We defined what strategic management is. We also discussed in detail the importance of strategic management, the objectives of strategic management, and why organizations need strategic management. Then we also talked about the strategic management process, which has basically four important steps. That is, we have the environmental scanning, we have the strategy formulation, strategy implementation, and the strategy evaluation. So in our lesson today we have two lessons. And all these lessons, the two lessons are related to environmental scanning. That is, we have two types of environment in any organization. So we have the internal organization, that is the internal scanning, and we have the external scanning. So this lesson here, the first lesson, we shall talk in detail about internal scanning. Then after the break, we shall discuss in detail also about what? About the external environment scanning. So let us start. Bismillah. So in our lesson today, we shall be talking about environmental scanning. Like any organization normally work in an environment. So we want to, because before you start formulating the strategy, you need to scan the environment. And another word for scanning is analyzing. You need to analyze the internal and the external environment. So these are the lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to, number one, define what is environmental scanning. Number two, describe the importance of environmental scanning. Then explain the role of environmental scanning in strategic decision making. Then number four, identify the levels of environmental scanning. Then differentiate between types of environments in business analysis. Then lastly, analyze the component of the internal environment. And this is the most important thing in this lesson, because in your assignment, you have two assignments. The first one is all about the internal environment analysis. Then the second one is about the external business environment analysis. So you need to understand the lesson very well so that at least you can be able to do what? You can be able to attempt the exercise. Now, so look at this diagram here. So when you look at this diagram, what do you notice? Last week, we were analyzing this diagram. So this is basically the word. This is basically the strategic management framework. So number one, we normally have the mission and the objective. So in any organization, the first thing you have to ensure that your mission, your vision, and your objective is very clear. Then once you finish with that, you go to the external analysis and the internal analysis. So this is what we are going to cover today. External analysis, we need to analyze the environment externally. And number two, we need to do what? We need to analyze the internal environment of the business. Then in our next lesson, we shall go to the next step about the strategic choice and the strategy implementation. That is what we shall be doing next week. So next week, we shall be talking about strategy formulation. Now, so this is the framework for what? A framework of the business environment. So any organization normally has two types of environment. So we normally have the internal environment. In the middle, you can see the internal environment. So for example, if it is Dahabshil Bank, we are talking about what is happening inside Dahabshil. The human resource inside Dahabshil, the financial resource inside Dahabshil, the what? The physical resources inside Dahab Shield, the leadership inside Dahab Shield. So when we are talking about internal, it is anything that is happening inside the organization. So when we are talking about strategic management, we have to analyze everything that is happening inside our organization. Then number two, if you look outside, we have the external environment. So the external environment, you have the political situation, economic, scientific, information, consumers, competitors, suppliers, legislation, ila ghairi dhalik. So this is what we shall be doing today. Like we want to know, when you are talking about the internal environment, what is the internal environment and what are the frameworks we normally use when we are analyzing the internal, then also externally. Now, but before we start, you need to know what is environmental scanning. Scanning, sometimes in some books, it is known as environmental analysis. So it is known as tahlil al-bi'a. So كل المنظمة, in any organization, هناك البيئة الداخلية والبيئة الخارجية. So when you are talking about environmental scanning, we are talking about تحليل هذه البيئة, so that we know what is النقاط الضعف, we know what is نقاط القوة إلى غير ذلك. So what is environmental scanning? Environmental scanning is a systematic process of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting information about external and internal environment to identify opportunities and threats that could influence an organizational future strategy. So number one, it is something that is a systematic process. So we are doing what? We are gathering, analyzing, and interpreting. What are we interpreting? Information. Information that is related to al-biya al-kharijiyya wal-biya al-dakhiliyya. Limadha? Why? Because we want to know what are the opportunities, mahi al-furas, and threats, at-tahadiyat. As an organization, you need to know what are the opportunities that you can capitalize on. You also have to know what are the threats, so that you have to do what? At-tajannub, so that you can avoid the threats. So it is a foundational step in strategic management. So tahlil al-bi'a, it is very strategic. It is very foundational means it is asas, enabling organization to adapt to changes, mitigate risk, and capitalize on emerging trends. Another definition, there are many definitions. Number two, environmental scanning refers to the process, again, process of monitoring, evaluating, and disseminating information, again, information from the external and internal environment to who? To key decision makers within an organization. Or environmental scanning is again the process, amalia, of systematically analyzing, tahlil, mother, the internal and external factors that impact an organization, operation, strategy, and decision making. So if we analyze all this definition, we realize that environmental scanning, it is systematic. Number two, it involves information. Number three, there is the external and the internal part of it. Then there is the element of decision makers, decision making. We are doing all this analysis or scanning, limadha, li'ittikhadh al-qararat. We want to make a decision. So you cannot make a decision in an organization if you don't know what is happening inside and if you don't know what is happening outside. So you need to have a picture of what is happening in those two environments. Now, what is the importance of environmental scanning? لماذا نحلل البيئة? Number one, proactive decision making. So environmental analysis allows organizations to anticipate changes and respond proactively rather than reactively. In an exam, they can ask you what is the difference between proactively and reactively. So what is the difference? Proactively is you work, you try to find the solution before the problem. But reactively, you just sit and wait for the problem, then you find the solution, which is not good. So we, as an organization, you have to be proactive. Even before the problem occurs, you need to find it so that at least you fix it mubakiran, very early. But don't react. So many organizations, they normally react to problems, which is not good. Number two, risk management. Idaratul makhatir. So by identifying potential threats, organization can develop strategies to mitigate risk. So threats means at-tahdiyat or mushkilat or al-makhatir. So when you analyze the environment or you scan the environment, it enables you to do what? To know the risk, then to develop plans, strategies to minimize. Mitigate means what? Mitigate means to minimize the risk. Number three, opportunity identification. Tahdid al-furas. It helps to uncover new market trends, customer needs, and technological advancement. Number four, strategic alignment. It ensures that organization strategies are aligned with the external environment. So it ensures that what is happening inside the organization, okay, it is aligned to the external environment. Then lastly, al-miza at-tanafusiyya, competitive advantage. So it provides insight into competitors' action and industry trends, enabling organization to stay ahead. Stay ahead. Like you always want to be the first one. You don't want to be at the back. So if you don't want to be at the back, you need to always analyze and scan your environment. And they're giving you an example of a smartphone manufacturer like Apple conducts environmental scanning to monitor technological advancement. So all these mobile companies, they always do what? Analyze what is happening outside. What is the new trend? 5G, 4G. So they adapt their what? They adapt their machines, they adapt their mobile phones to what? To what is happening outside. Now, what is the role of environmental scanning in strategic management? What role, like when you are scanning, like this information, how does it help you in strategic management? Number one, it is an input for strategy formulation. So environmental scanning provides data on external opportunities and threats, as well as internal strengths and weaknesses, which are essential for crafting strategy. So if you want to plan, so the environmental analysis will give you the input. Input means what? Ma'lumat. So you cannot plan if you don't have ma'lumat. So ma'lumat comes from the external and internal environment. Number two, scenario planning. So it helps organizations prepare for multiple future scenarios by analyzing trends and uncertainty. Scenario means هناك حالات مختلفة. Sometimes things can be good, sometimes things can be bad. So when you analyze your environment, you are prepared for everything that is going to happen. So you are ready. If it is scenario A, you are ready. If it is scenario B, then you are ready. And if it is scenario C, you are also ready. Then performance monitoring tracks changes in the environment, okay, to ensure strategies remain relevant and effective. It helps in taqyim al-ada. Then lastly, which is very important, resource allocation. Guides the allocation of resources to areas with the highest potential for growth or risk mitigation. Remember, in an organization, as we shall see, we have a lot of resources. But how can we effectively and efficiently allocate these resources, al-mawarid? It is only through the scanning and analysis that we can be able to realize, like, where should we put more resources and where should we remove the resources. Now, what are the levels of environmental scanning? So when you're talking about level of environmental scanning, there are 3 levels of environmental scanning. So For example, if we use the example of Dahabshil, if Dahabshil wants to do an environmental scanning, it will have to go to do 3 types of scanning. Number one, global level. Globally, so Dahabshil has to know what is happening in the world and how is it affecting its operation. Because the war that is happening in Ukraine, it is affecting you in Somalia. So you have to know how the war is affecting. You have to know the dollar, what is happening to dollar globally, because maybe you are importing and you are exporting. So you have to know what is happening in the world if you are a businessman, if you want to do what, if you want to do an environmental scanning. Then, so that is global. Then number two, industry. So Dahabshil also has to do an analysis of the industry. So Dahabshil is in the banking industry. So Dahabshil has to know what is happening in its industry. It has to know what the other banks are doing, what Premier Bank is doing differently, what Amal Bank is doing. It has to know what is happening in its industry. Then Akhiran is organization level. Now this is Dahabshil. It has to know what is happening inside Dahabshil. So we have globally, then we have in terms of the industry, then we have the organization level. So in this lesson, we shall be covering about organization level. This organization is what is known as internal. Another word for organization level is mother, internal analysis or internal scanning. But let us just, so global, when you're talking about global level, this level focuses on macro environmental factors that affects organization on this is the keyword, global scale. So you have to know globally, politically, what is happening globally, economically, socially, technologically, environmentally, and legally. You have to know what is happening globally. We shall talk about this when we are talking about the external analysis. Number two is industry. This level focuses on factors specific to your industry. Is it clear? Specific to your industry, where your organization operates. It includes the competitive force, the trends, the customers. So it includes this. Competitors, Dahabshil. What are the competitors to Dahabshil? The Amal Bank, ila ghairi dhalik. Your suppliers, who is supplying you with materials? Your buyer, your customers, you have to know them. You know, the threat of substitutes. You have to know what other companies are giving, their products and their services. Then the threats of new entrants. Then lastly, there is the organizational level. This level focuses on the internal environment of the organization, including its resources, capabilities, and culture. So we want to know, like Dahabshil, what is the financial status of Dahabshil, the human resources inside the organization, the operational efficiency, the organizational culture inside Dahabshil. So those are the 3 levels of what? Those are the 3 levels of scanning. Now, what are the types of environment, generally speaking? So environmental scanning is broadly divided into internal and external. So broadly speaking, we have 2 types of environments, each of which plays a crucial role in shaping business strategies. So they play different roles in shaping our strategy in organizations. Now, so this is basically what, these are the types of environment. So we have 2 types of environment. We have number 1, the internal environment, which we shall be talking about it just now. Then our second lesson will be about external environment. When you're talking about external environment, there are 2. So we have micro environment and we also have macro environment. So these 2 falls under the external environment. Now, in our lesson today, this lesson we shall be talking about the internal business environment. Like, what are the factors inside the organization that affects the operation of the business? So ما هي البيئة الداخلية؟ ماذا نعني بالبيئة الداخلية؟ So البيئة الداخلية, the internal environment of an organization يتكون من ماذا? Consists of factors within its control. This is very important. Within its control that influence its operation, performance, and strategic decision. So anything that the organization can control, Dahabshil can control its workers inside. That is internal. Dahabshil has some technology inside. Dahabshil, it can manage. So if I can manage it, if I can control it, it is internal. If I cannot manage it, it is external. So anything that I can do to influence my operation, my performance, and my decision, it is internal. So a thorough analysis of the internal environment helps identify two things. This is very important. When we are analyzing the internal environment, we know what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. So those are the two things that the internal analysis help us to identify. So what are the components of internal environment? They are three. We have the organizational resources and capabilities. This is inside the organization. The corporate culture and leadership is inside. Then we have the internal strength and weakness. So these are the three things we are going to cover in the internal environment. Now, so number one, organizational resources and capabilities. So as every organization, they have like 4 types of resources. So you need to analyze these resources. Number one, al-mawarid al-bashariya, human resources. So these are the skill, expertise, and the talent of employees. Every organization needs people to work. So you need to analyze your people. Are they qualified? Are they skilled? Are they trained? You know? So what is the importance of the human resource? The human resource, they drive innovation. The human beings, they are the ones who think. Productivity. If you have good workers, your productivity will be high. Customer satisfaction. Your employees are the ones who are in direct contact with your customers. If they know how to work or relate with your customers will be satisfied. But if your people, like in Dahabshil, for example, if the people inside don't know how to work with customers, they will leave. They will go to Amal Bank. They'll go to Premier Bank. So you find example, Google's high skill workforce fosters. So Google company, it has skilled labor. That is why Google company is among the most profitable organizations because it cares about its human resource. Number two, money, financial resources. Al-mawarid al-maliya. Every organization needs money. So we have to analyze to see, do we have enough money or we don't have enough money? So these are the capital, revenue, and financial stability. Are we stable? Can we operate in the next 2 months, 4 months, 1 year, 2 years? Can we? Then the importance of this is that financial resources enable investment. If you don't have money, you cannot expand, you cannot invest. And many organizations, for example, Amazon, many organizations, they have the financial strength, even the Dahabshil Bank. The Dahabshil Bank is one of the most stable banks in the world, but you have some banks, they are not that stable. Then the third resource we need to analyze internally is the technological and physical assets. So these are the machines, equipment, infrastructure, and technology. We need to analyze to see what technology are we having. Is it an old technology or is it an updated technology? Our machines, So these assets enhance operational efficiency and competitiveness. If you want to compete with the best, then you should also have good machines. But if your machines are very old, then you'll not be able to compete with your competitors. And there are the Teslas, the big companies, name them, the Samsung, the Apple, they have their technology, their infrastructure is advanced. Then lastly is the intellectual property. These are the patent, trademarks, copyright, and trade secrets. So what is the meaning of intellectual property? It is an asset in an organization. It is a resource. For example, Nike, the Nike company. You know, Nike, it is an intellectual property. If Nike company, if they find you using their trademark, Nike, they can take you to a court of law because that is their logo. It's like you cannot use my logo. You know, this logo is a resource. The name, people come to your organization because of the name. So, for example, today, if you use the name of Telesom, Telesom can take you to a court of law. They say this is our name. He's just using our name to get our customers. So they can take you to a court of law. So every company, organization, they have something that is special. And it is a source of, it brings them revenue. The name, just the name. Samsung is a name. iPhone is a name, you know, and all the names of your businesses are names. So they are also resources. So we need to analyze these four resources: the human resource, the financial resources, the technological, and the intellectual. Now, on to the next thing. We have what is known as the resource-based view. So what is the resource-based view? So the RDV is a strategic management framework that focuses on the internal resources and capabilities of an organization as the primary determinants of its competitive advantage and performance. So according to RBV, an organization's ability to achieve sustained competitive advantage depends on the uniqueness, value, and capabilities of its resources rather than external market conditions. So in an exam, sometimes you can be asked, what is the argument of the resource-based view? According to them, because there are two environments, there is the internal and there is the external. So according to them, they are saying that what is inside the organization is more important than what is outside. If we have good human resource, if we have enough financial resources, if we have good technology, if we have good patent and trademark, then it is going to give us al-miza at-tanafusia. So they are basically saying it is not what is happening outside, the politics, the economics, no. According to them, they say if you are good internally, dakhiliya, then you can be able to compete with other companies, with other organizations. But if you are weak internally, then how are you going to fight with your enemy outside? So that is the argument. Then number two, we have what is known as resource audit. Resource audit is all about doing what? We identify, we assess, and evaluate an organization's resources to determine their strategic value. So when we are talking about auditing, it's just like if you're doing finance, there is what is known as auditing, internal auditor, external auditor. So it is just the same. Auditing means you bring a book, you start auditing all the resources in your company. I have the human resource. So there are three types of resources. So the tangible resources. Tangible means anything you can touch. These are the physical assets like finance, infrastructure, and equipment. Then the intangible resources is what I was telling you, your brand, your intellectual property, your company culture. You cannot touch. Then the human resources, employee skills, leadership, and knowledge. So basically you need to do what? You need to analyze. You need to audit. After auditing, you will know my strength is in my human resource. I need to focus more with my human resource. They are the ones who are bringing money to my company. The other resources are not helping me. So that is the idea behind what? That is the idea behind resource auditing. Now, Then we have, again, all these things are still related to the first point, resources, the VRIO framework. The VRIO framework, it is an acronym. The V stands for valuable, 2, the R is for rare, immutable, organized. So if you want your resources to give you a competitive advantage, it should have these 4 characteristics. So number 1, your resources. Does it create value or reduce costs? If the answer is yes, then mashallah, biha wa ni'ma. If your resources are not adding value to you, hunaka al-mushkila. Number 2, rare. Is it unique or scarce in the industry? Your resource, is it scarce? Because if the resources are many, it is not going to offer you competitive advantage, because it means the Habshil is having it, this technology, Premier Bank is having this technology, Amal is having this technology. But when something is rare, rare means a nudra. It is only the Habshil that is having this special software. The other banks, they don't have. So the Habshil is very special. Why? Because it is having a commodity that is very rare. It is very difficult to find the software. But if it is easy to find the software, then there is a problem. Number 3, immutable. Is it difficult for competitors to replicate? If your competitors can copy what you are doing, you are in trouble. But if your competitors cannot copy your style, then you are going to be able to compete for many years. But if somebody can see, wow, you are doing this business, they copy paste, they start their business, what is going to happen to your business? It's going to fall down. So people should find it difficult to copy you. Then number 4, are your resources organized? Can the company exploit it effectively? Sometimes you might be having resources, but there is israf. You are misusing it. Your resources are not organized. But if you are the answer to all these questions, if the answer is yes, then you have what? You have sustainable competitive advantage. Look, number 1, valuable. Is your resources valuable? If the answer is yes, you have sustainable competitive advantage. You can compete. If it is rare, if the answer is yes, then you have sustainable advantage. If it is immutable, if it is yes, sustainable competitive advantage. If it is organized, yes, you have sustainable competitive advantage. So all the organization, they should be looking for yes, 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 and yes. Because if it is no, look, if it is no, if it is not valuable, what is going to happen? You have a disadvantage. If it is no, competitive disadvantage. Rare, if it is no, competitive parity, you are the same with other people. Inimitable, if it is no, it is a temporary competitive advantage. Organized, if it is no, it is unused competitive advantage. So what we want at the end of the day is we want a sustainable competitive advantage. That is, my resources in the organization can enable me to compete, can enable me to be better than my competitors. Then lastly, we have what is known as the value chain analysis. This is very important. This is a framework that normally helps you to analyze. So this is a strategic management tool that is used to do what? To analyze a company's internal activities and identify areas where value is created. It helps businesses understand how each activity contributes to their competitive advantage and cost structure. So I need you to understand, and it was created by Michael Porter. Michael Porter is one of the many people who have written a lot of books in strategic management. So according to Michael Porter, he's saying that in any organization, there are 2 types of activities that helps the organization to get a profit. If you go to cafeteria, any cafeteria, you will find there are two types of activities. If you go to a bank, if you go to a university, you'll always find there are two types of activities. We normally have, look here, we normally have support activities and we have primary activities. So we normally have al-anshita al-asasiya. Then we normally have al-anshita al-musa'ada. These are like al-anshita al-thanawiya. These are support activities. So the primary activities plus the support activities help us to get the margin. This margin is the profit. The margin here, this margin, this is the profit of the organization. So if you are very good in your support and your primary activities, the margin is going to be very big. So our main objective is we want this margin to be very big. So what you have to do as an organization, you have to know, you have to focus with the activities that is bringing a lot of profit. Is it your marketing that is bringing a lot of profit? Focus with marketing. Is it your human resource that is bringing money? Focus with human resource. Is it the operation? Focus with the human report. Now, what is the difference between these two activities? So number one, primary activities directly related to creating and delivering the product. So these are, if you are in a cafeteria, these are all the activities that help to bring the food on the table. Cooking is a primary activity. You know, what else? Cutting the tomatoes and all, those are the primary activities. So in a school, for example, what are the primary activities? Teaching, you know, learning, teachers training. If you go to any company, any organization, you'll always find there is something that is primary. You know, so this one, they are directly related to creating and delivering the product and service. Then the support activities, they assist primary activities in adding value. So they are not related directly to the production, but they are assisting, you know? So these two, they normally work together to do what? To always ensure that our margin is big. So we'll continue after the break. We have 30 seconds remaining. So I will send another link after the break because we are going to have a short break. So the primary activities, we have the inbound, we have the operations, we have the outbound, we have the marketing, and we have the service. These are the primary activities in any organization. Then number two, we have the support activity, the farm infrastructure, the house, the offices, your human resource, the technology